Welcome to this presentation of Human Life International. The following talk by Dr. Brian Close is titled 10 Abortion Myths. To order copies of this talk or other pro-life and pro-family materials, or to learn more about Human Life International, please go to our website at www.hli.org or call us at 1-800-549-5433. That's 1-800-549-LIFE. Now let's proceed to our feature presentation.
The name of this presentation is Abortion Myths versus Research Realities. It was updated in March of 2013. There are many myths about abortion that are held by most members of the public, common knowledge that everyone knows, and which is completely wrong. The reason that so many people are misinformed about abortion, and the reason that many people support it, is because of the actions of what we call the mainstream media, the television news, the print media in the form of newspapers and magazines, and to a lesser degree the entertainment media embodied by people we call celebrities. There are many glaring examples of unequal media treatment of both sides of the abortion debate. When Todd Akin made his clumsy comment on legitimate rape and abortion during the 2012 elections, ABC, CBS, and NBC ran 96 major stories focusing on the comment and treated it as a huge scandal for the Republican Party. But the media completely ignored abortionist Kermit Gosnell's House of Horrors abortion mill in Philadelphia, where he killed dozens of newborn babies by severing their spinal columns, killed an abortion patient, and made millions of dollars peddling pills on the black market. The only people in the world who don't think that the news media is grossly biased on abortion are the people who work in the media. The problem with the news media is twofold. Its members mindlessly repeat whatever pro-abortionists and population controllers tell them, and its members deliberately and consciously hide truth and indisputable scientific facts that support pro-life beliefs. The media is not biased, which means that its members unconsciously inject their personal opinions into their reporting. Its members are corrupt, which means the reporters know they're slanting the news and they uncritically repeat everything the pro-abortionists say and in fact actively suppress opposing viewpoints. In short, the media is an integral part of the pro-abortion movement, and its part of the overall strategy is to hide anything that will make abortion look bad and highlight and sometimes even manufacture stories that make pro-lifers look bad. Even pro-abortionists recognize and welcome this corruption. Susan Millsaps of NARAL Pro-Choice America said way back in 1991 that the media has been our best friend in this fight. They claim objectivity, but I know they're all pro-choice. And Boston Globe legal reporter Ethan Bronner wrote that, "I think when abortion opponents complain about a bias in newsrooms against their cause, they're absolutely right. Opposing abortion in the eyes of most journalists is not a legitimate, civilized position in our society." In the intervening decades, of course, the situation has gotten much worse. The media usually completely ignores hundreds of thousands of pro-lifers at the annual National March for Life while writing long stories on a handful of pro-abortionists on the Supreme Court steps. It constantly talks about pro-life violence while ignoring the much greater pro-abortion violence, and it pushes this agenda relentlessly from amnesty for illegal aliens to the gay rights agenda. One of the worst examples of this corruption is its handling of abortion-related violence. For example, when Scott Roeder walked into the Lutheran church where late-term abortionist George Tiller was serving as an usher and shot him dead in 2009, the media wrote thousands of stories on the murder, portraying Tiller as a saint and the entire pro-life movement as a bunch of far-right, Bible-beating wingnuts. A few months later, when pro-abortionist Harlan Drake murdered pro-life activist Jim Poulin, the first thing the media did was dig into Poulin's background and list every time he'd ever had a brush with the law right down to 2 parking tickets. They went so far as to seek out his family members in attempts to dig up dirt on him. This bias and corruption of the media is almost universal, but there are a number of primary points that media people use to promote and excuse abortion and population control activities. After decades of this barrage of misinformation and outright lies, most people accept the primary media deceptions about abortion without question. If you learn how to refute them, you'll be a powerful advocate for human life. These media myths are as follows. Number 1, the world is overpopulated, so we have to have abortion and birth control. Number 2, 70,000 women die each year from unsafe abortion worldwide. Number 3, abortions are necessary for rape, incest, birth defects, and to save the life and health of the mother. Number 4, it's her body, so she can do with it as she pleases. Number 5, we really don't know when human life begins. Number 6, third trimester abortions are rare or non-existent. Number 7, most Americans are pro-choice. Number 8, men have no right to speak out against abortion. Number 9, you can't legislate morality. And number 10, every child must be a wanted child. The first media myth about abortion is that the world is overpopulated, so we have to have abortion and birth control. Whenever population control people or organizations use statistics to justify their claims regarding world overpopulation, their numbers are almost always either exaggerations or outright fabrications. Their most common allegation is that 88 million people are added to the world's population each year. According to the United Nations Population Information Network, the annual world population did indeed peak at about 88 million during the time period 1985 to 1990, but it has been declining ever since. It will increase by about 64 million this year. The world population rate of increase is anticipated to continue to decline steeply until world population peaks at about 8.1 billion and then begins to decline in about the year 2045. In fact, from the current 7.1 billion, the world's population is projected to decline to about 6.2 billion by the end of the century. In other words, the population explosion is over. The second allegation is that the population of the world doubles every 37 years. Pro-abortionists and population controllers hope to frighten people into thinking that the current world population of about 7.1 billion will double to 14.2 billion by about the year 2050, double again to 28 billion by about the year 2087, and so on. But according to United Nations projections, the population of the world will never again double, as we have already seen. The Planned Parenthood Federation of America committed perhaps the ultimate in alarmist propaganda when it distributed a 1-foot square of paper that proclaimed on its borders, "If present birth rates continue, there will be one human being standing on every square foot of land on Earth. Here's a square foot. Try it. Stand on it. Then take a stand for Planned Parenthood." So what Planned Parenthood was alleging is there will eventually be 1.6 quadrillion people on this Earth, or 223,000 people for every single person living on the Earth today. Even allegedly intelligent people have gotten caught up in the hysteria. One example is Stephen Hawking, who said, "By the year 2600, the world population will be standing shoulder to shoulder, and electricity consumption will make the Earth glow red hot." Propaganda aside, the world has 236 nations with a 2013 population of about 7.1 billion for an average of 51 people per square kilometer of land. 80 of these countries protect their preborn citizens completely or allow only strictly monitored exceptions such as life of the mother, rape, incest, and birth defects or eugenics. However, these countries only have about 30% of the world's population. 112 of the world's nations offer little or no legal protection to their preborn citizens. Their laws allow either abortion on demand or the physical and mental health of the mother exceptions, which in practice means abortion on demand. The countries that offer little or no protection to preborn babies are home to about 70% of the world's people, and 2 of these countries, India and China, have 37% of the world's population. There are currently about 43 million surgical and medical abortions being committed in the world each year. This appalling number steadily increased to a high of about 55 million since 1960, when there were about 40 million surgical and medical abortions worldwide, then began to decrease. This means that during the period 1960 to 2013 inclusive, Surgical and medical abortionists have killed about 2.5 billion babies, a number equal to more than one-third of the world's entire living population. Abortion laws have a profound effect on the total fertility rates, or TFRs, and population growth rates of nations. Nations with abortion on demand have a much lower TFR than those that protect their preborn citizens, 2.1 children per completed family versus 3.9, and they have suffered much steeper declines in TFR since 1965. Also, nations that provide little or no protection for their preborn citizens have less than half the population growth rate that nations that protect them do, 0.94% versus 1.99%. The world's total fertility rate has plunged from 5.0 to a current figure of exactly replacement, about 2.1, and is projected to continue dropping to 1.5 or less by the year 2050. The world's population growth rate peaked at 2.04% per year in 1965 and is now growing at about 0.9% per year. It will stop growing by the year 2045 with a peak population of about 8.1 billion. Then it will begin to rapidly shrink, just as is now happening in Europe. Population controllers tend to visit huge population centers in developing countries, like Lagos, Nigeria, or Manila in the Philippines, and then tell everyone who will listen that the world is crammed full of people. This is like visiting a beehive and then telling everyone that the world is full of bees. To show how few people there are in the world, the entire population of 7.1 billion would each have 1,100 square feet if everybody lived in the state of Texas, or Chile, or France, or Zambia in Africa, or Myanmar, formerly Burma, New South Wales, a state in Australia, Qinghai province in China, or Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh states in India. All of this means that the population bomb may have landed, but it didn't explode. The second media myth about abortion is that 70,000 women die each year from unsafe abortion worldwide. To begin with, we have to consider the inflexible equations used by the population controllers. These are that every legal abortion is safe and that every illegal abortion is unsafe. We know this because as soon as a huge population control cartel legalizes abortion in a developing nation, they're content. They do not attempt to ensure that legalized abortion is safe. They don't monitor or train the new abortionists. They just cross the country off their list of nations that have so-called unsafe abortions. The primary numbers alleged by the Guttmacher Institute in the United States are as follows. Every pro-abortion and population control group repeats them, as does the media. Number 1, there are 22 million safe abortions and 20 million unsafe abortions every year, and there are 70,000 abortion deaths a year with 8 million complications, almost all due to unsafe abortions. Population controllers think that illegal equals unsafe and that legal equals safe regarding abortion. But how can this be when the same people who perform abortions before it is legalized perform them after it's legalized? When abortion is legalized, more women die, and not only from physical complications of abortion. For example, in the United States, about 65 deaths were reported the year before abortion was legalized nationwide. Now, about a dozen women die of abortion every year that we know of, but at least 50 women are murdered every year by their husbands or boyfriends because they refuse to have abortions. See www.abortionviolence.org